Meta with more from the Charleston Craft Beer Festival with Randolph, one of the brewers at Fatty's Beer Works down Charleston. So, this is your home turf. What brought you out here?
We just like getting beer to people, you know? We've got kind of a low-key setup, but it's all about just getting beer out, making sure people are having a good time, and kind of feel like that reflects the attitude of the brewery, you know? We don't take ourselves too seriously. We just try to do as good of a job as we can, make some good beer, and make sure everybody's having a good time.
So on top of that, what beers did you bring today and why?
So we brought a Schwartz beer, a German dark lager, and then we brought a milkshake IPA called Boombox Apocalypse. There was a little mix-up with the distribution, so we accidentally got a keg of a strawberry lemonade hard seltzer. So we had that as well, but we brought the Schwartz beer. Just it's kind of a less common style. It's a dark beer visually, and I think a lot of people are intimidated by that. And so it's a low-cost way to maybe dip your feet into a beer you've never had before. So we were kind of excited to get it in front of people and have them, people liked it, and I don't think they would have maybe had tried that if they had to pay full price. So
it is a less common beer, but it's also one of my most favorite styles of beer. So I appreciate the fact that it's here.
Yeah, and then you'll know it's usually something you have to go to the import aisle for. So yeah, and then the milkshake IPA, it's just everybody else is gonna have an IPA. Milkshake IPA, it's got lactose, so it kind of rounds it out. It's a little bit smoother, maybe a little more approachable, a little more middle of the road, if you will. You don't want to have super aggressive beer here. You don't know who's going to come to your table. You want them to be able to find something they like. So we just thought that was a good, safe pick while still being something that's pretty delicious. If I can toot my own horn a little bit, but
so
it's
did you
great.
have some backup cans available because the distributor kind of made that boo-boo?
No, we didn't realize until we were setting up this morning, about 15 minutes before people came in the gate. But it's all about rolling with the punches, and like I said, I'm not trying to take ourselves too seriously. I'll pour whatever we got, and we'll make sure people have a good time while we're doing that stuff.
Like you said, everyone's got an IPA, and that's 100% spot on. So do you think it helped kind of draw the clientele to your tent, having a seltzer instead of the milkshake?
I would say definitely. We kicked a half-barrel keg in maybe an hour, and we put it on later in the day, and I think that was maybe a good thing because at that point people had had so much beer. They were kind of excited to have something that wasn't beer, but it's not Coke or it's not a water. It's still got a little bit of alcohol in it, and it's kind of light and refreshing, and maybe it's a good little bit of punctuation between some of the, if you just had a Dunkelweizen or something, a little bit, pastry stout, triple hopped IPA, whatever. There's plenty of that. Having a strawberry lemonade spritz, people are loving it, and people come by. Where's the pink drink?
Where's the pink drink?
Yeah, I heard that 100 times. So
don't shoot the Dunkelweizen down too much because Dunkel's one of my favorite beers.
Oh, I'm not shooting anything down. I'm just saying, there's some punctuation. It's good to mix it up. So
that's right.
Happy accident.
That's what makes craft, right?
Oh yeah, it's a bunch of good happy accidents just all come together. Yeah.
So tell me a little about Fatty's. I mean, the brand, I look at now, let me just tell you, one of the first two Charleston brewers I visited since I moved to South Carolina was Fatty's. But, so the logo, it's got that Titleist type of vibe to it. So tell me a little about the story behind Fatty's.
Yeah, well, Titleist, I think Fatty himself would love to hear you say that. He's a big golf guy, but he just kind of decided one day, I'd love to start a brewery, and his nickname's been Fatty for years, since college, and it's hard not to say, I'd like to try that beer. That's a funny name. So, like I said, it's kind of we try not to take ourselves too seriously. Trying to make sure everybody comes in, has a good time. We don't care who you are. We'll probably make something you like. You like a sour, we got that. You like an IPA, that's our flagship. We got a Pilsner, we got, kind of everything in between, So, trying to make, I don't want to devalue the brand, but beer for the common man, Somebody who wants to come in, kick their feet up after a long day of work,
So, talk about your beer a little more as a whole. You're a brewer. What do you like to brew versus what sells and what the boss lady, whatever the case may be, tells you to brew?
Well,
is there like a fine line between the two?
yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, you're running a business, so you sell what sells. You know, you got to make what sells. If you got the most delicious, esoteric beer style that nobody's interested in, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to move. Now, that being said, our flagship and our number one seller by far is Lazy Hazy. It's a New England IPA, and I'm okay with that. You know, it's a beer I enjoy drinking. Sure, I get tired of making it sometimes. I feel like I'm always making it. We can't make it fast enough, but those are all good problems to have, you know? Like, you could be sitting there saying, this beer is my best beer ever, and nobody wants it. Well, you did something wrong. And
no sense in being sour over it.
Right, yeah, exactly. We celebrate the fact that we cannot add another tank, and we can't make beer fast enough. It's great. I mean, people would kill to be in that position. So, as far as like what we make and what sells, we try to have a wide range of stuff. I would say most of the time it's, you know, either an IPA or maybe some sour. Those are probably our two like main kind of genres. But within that, we definitely like to pepper in some, we have a new pale ale that just came out. It's real West Coasty. It's not something we always have. The Italian Pilsner is something we try to keep on tap because people come in and say, "What's your lightest beer?" You know, we want to service everybody that comes in. At the end of the day, like if distribution calls and says we want to have a beer like this, we'll make it. You know, and I'm happy to make it because people want it. That's the whole point. I'm not making beer for me. We're making beer for you. You know, I don't want to see a beer not being drunk. And so if you want the beer, we'll try to make it as best we can. So.
Okay. That's a great mentality to have as far as the business perspective, but let's talk about you as a brewer. Regardless of what sells, what's your favorite style to brew? Whether that be the most challenging or the most fulfilling, whatever the case may be. Regardless of numbers. No numbers, no money. What's your favorite style to brew?
I think, and this might, ruffle a few feathers. I like Berliner Weisses and sours because I feel like there's such a wide range of directions you can go with, hey, we added this fruit or did this to it or whatever, and you know they're going to sell. I don't have to worry about, hey, is this too wacky? If it's got guava and tangerine and passion fruit, it's still going to move.
More fruit
so you can kind of safely be more creative, and I don't take a lot of pleasure from like nailing a technical recipe. I love overhearing somebody order a beer, take a sip, and say, "Oh shit, that's good." That's I still remember the first time I heard that, and it's electric. It still gets me fired up. So
I did that.
Yeah, maybe not that self-serving, but it's so fun to see somebody enjoying that, and you know that like not everybody likes sours, but enough people do that no matter what you do with fruits or whatever, or lactose or you name it, somebody's gonna drink it, it's gonna sell, somebody's gonna enjoy it. So
for all the tasty beers that you make, you want people to come back and drink more and more and more of them. And a lot of times for people to do that, to be responsible, they need something to soak it up. So what does Fatty's offer as far as sustenance, food-wise, to soak up the beer you brew?
Yeah, so it's actually something we're kind of trying to expand more into right now. We got a couple like grab-and-go sandwich options and stuff, but we're looking at having something more permanent kind of on site. So I guess I would give you a stay tuned on that one. I don't know what that's gonna, the final like form of that's gonna be, but it's definitely something we're interested in because scheduling food trucks every day is hard, and they don't want to come out if you're not gonna. If it's Tuesday and it's gonna be a slow night, it's not worth their time and it's not worth our time. Like I get that.
They don't want to come out and operate on a net negative.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's running a business at the end of the day, but that's definitely something we want to be better at doing and just having a more permanent presence there, because what goes good with beer? A snack, some food, some greasy cheeseburger, who knows? So there's definitely talks and things in the works right now. I can't give you anything more concrete on that because I don't. Yeah, exactly.
Of all the styles you've been given the green light to brew, which one were you most proud of? What's the feather in your cap? Ooh, I stumped him.
I would say my first brew, Lazy Hazy. It's the flagship.
Just because of the expectation?
You can't do it wrong. Right. We sell too much to too many people too often to change it up. And when the first brew I did came out and was, on par, that was a huge weight off my shoulders. Because you can't mess it up. We'll have people like it enough and they're passionate enough about it where they'll come in and say, yeah, whatever that can was wasn't right. And if that were to be the case, that's good feedback. But I'm glad that wasn't the case. I feel like there was more riding on that. I feel like that's what a lot of people associate with fatties.
So is it more stressful to do that, or more stressful to brew a beer that you've never done before and you're completely green and going in, don't know your proverbial ass from your elbow with brewing?
Oh, that 100%.
Yeah.
It's not close. Because if it's something new, it might not have been what you wanted, but it's very rarely not going to be something salvageable.
Okay. So you don't have the situation of oh my goodness, my boss, the company just gave me all this material to make something delicious and it came out horrible. It's the...
Yeah, the hope is that it might not come out how you want it, but at least it didn't come out horribly. You just might have to change the description about it, or you might call it something a little bit different, or you sell it a little bit different way. But if it's new, nobody knew.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, they never heard our behind closed doors discussions. So
if you tried to make a porter and it came out being a stout, it's oh well, okay, it's a stout now.
Yeah, who cares, right? As long as it sells and people enjoy it, then that's kind of where the buck stops for me. But if you've got a brand that's consistent, and we make so much Lazy Hazy, it's got to be consistent.
People are gonna know.
Yeah, and it's also with a hazy IPA. There's a lot of people doing those, so it's a congested space, and somebody's gonna eat your lunch if you don't do it well.
Right.
There's always another hazy IPA to try. So if ours isn't good, somebody else's is, and they're probably next to us on the shelf. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And I've seen Lazy Hazy on the shelves in a lot of grocery stores.
Yeah, it's definitely our number one seller, and like I said, we can't make it fast enough. We're sending out 150 cases a week, plus however many kegs. So.
Community ties. I'm drinking this dark lager. I was instructed to come over here from the Work for Your Beer crew. They said that one of the ladies over there said that this was a beer that they did in collaboration with you. So let's start off with that. The overall question is more the community footprint of Fatties, your charities, fundraisers, you care about local artists, musicians that come by, that sort of thing. But let's start off the conversation with what went into creating this one with the Work for Your Beer crew.
So I don't know enough specifics to be to paint you the full picture, but I will say she came to Steve, the old brewer, and said, I'd love to brew beer, and it just ended up being a few months until we had room in our production schedule to fit it in. But that was her recipe. She was, her grain bill, everything. I think we maybe edited it a little bit just to make it more reasonable on the commercial scale. We can't use this brand of malt because our supplier has this brand, but it's a one for one. So, there's nitpicky stuff that isn't that important. But on the whole, so she's been part of the brewery for a while, and kind of came to Steve, the old brewer, who said, I'd love to, if you let me, be involved with the brew, and it just kind of evolved into that's your beer. So yeah, so I know that, and I guess it's maybe a little bit obvious how I'm talking about it. I wasn't part of that, but I do know that Steve essentially handed over the reins, just with the expectation that he'll get the final say on like this will make a good beer and this will not. So he just gave it a once over and said, yeah, that'll work. So yeah, I don't know enough details to like give you anything too exciting about it, but I do know that's the general gist of how that happens. So.
Oh, you're fine. So what's the broader overall footprint as far as community ties that Fatty's has? Whether it's Charleston and the greater Low Country area, South Carolina as a whole, are there any fundraisers, charities that Fatty's is particularly tied to? Local artists, local musicians that come by that you offer them a platform to sing up their product, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind, we've done a lot of work with First Tee. First Tee charity, but actually right now it's kind of appropriate. We've been doing every Saturday in October, we've been giving a portion of the sales in the tap room to a different rotating charity. So they've been having people come out. I wish you had told me this was coming up so I could have, looked up who was coming up next, but no, I should probably know. But yeah, so we do try to, you want to be a good neighbor, right? And just on a more casual note, like what got me started at Fatty's, every Monday night we have the Super Jam. Fatty gets up there with guitar, starts singing, and if you play an instrument, jump up. And my dad and I actually happened to go into to have a beer, and we noticed they were setting up all this music equipment. What are y'all doing? And we're like, oh, Super Jam every Monday night. It's gonna be kind of low key tonight. We don't have a drummer. And I guess he plays the drums.
You do.
Yeah. So talking about me, and 3 hours later, I was standing up, playing a bunch of music I didn't know with a bunch of people I didn't know, drinking a bunch of beer I didn't know, but it's like, hell, that was a good time. And Fatty came up, he goes, see you again next week. And so that was that.
That's an amazing story. So you went from just a random consumer to on-the-spot musician to brewer.
Total accident. But it's beautiful. And like, we joke about that. Like, that's the magic of Fatty's. Like, I mean, that sounds corny, but if you were to explain even my like progression in Fatty's and like how my relationship with Fatty's has changed, I mean, it's too good for a movie. Like, it just sounds ridiculous. It's weird. But
no studio's gonna buy this.
That's what we try to like foster, right? Like, I joke that Fatty would run the brewery at a net loss to preserve Super Jam. He loves it, and we all do. And the people that come, there's a regular group of people that come, and it's not because we have the best beer. I'm not saying we don't. I think our beer's pretty good, but it's not what it is. It's we got the best place to be on Monday night for those people, and they love it. That's their thing, and so.
Which anyone that travels around the craft community knows that Mondays are not super common to find someplace that's open.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not our best seller night or whatever, but it's a consistent thing. We've been doing that for over 5 years. I don't know the last time that there wasn't a Super Jam on Monday night. It would have been something weird popped up to cancel Super Jam. And I don't know that Fatty would actually run it at a loss, but it's that important to kind of the whole ethos of like what Fatty's is. That's what we do. It's doesn't have to be this glamorous thing. Like, here, we're having the most fun tonight. We're having the most fun of any brewery on Monday night. I'd stand by that. Yeah. So that's what it's all about.
So Super Jam is just, it's not necessarily something you play, it's something that Fatty just plays and whoever joins.
Yeah. And sometimes it's 2 people and sometimes it's like 15. And it's too loud. But it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Noise ordinances?
Well, we gotta be done by 11.
Okay.
Sometimes there's 3 guitars, 4 guitars. Sometimes there's 2 drummers. Sometimes the keyboard gets in there. Sometimes the trumpet. Who knows? I mean, we've had people just kind of show up. We don't know who they are. They don't know who we are, but they saw it and they loved it, and
If you like what you saw, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell for the rest of my daily nonsense. Follow me on my social media channels, TikTok and Instagram, @NutmegPeopleMeadow. Randolph, you're the guest. Final word is yours.
It's a great day, fatties.
It's a great day or have a great day?
It's a great day. That's the slogan. If you come by fatties, I'm guaranteed you'll hear that at least once.
I like that.
It's a great day, fatties.
Just drink and be happy.
Yeah.
Kinda
GDAF.
GDAF. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm going to sip on the rest of this.